perspectives, different views, one voice.
Welcome to the LDN Perspective Podcast. My name is Kojo.
Chris.
And we have with us today two special guests.
My name is Dayo Ajibola. I'm a HR business partner and I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
My name is Sarah. I work in procurement and I'm also happy to be here.
Okay, great. Our discussion today is around good girls and bad girls. And I guess
Inverted commas.
Yes, inverted commas in a sense that we're looking at the whole idea of do opposites attract? But I guess we're using good girls and bad girls to give us a bit more of a platform for a conversation. But it's a bit more around do opposites attract in that type of subject. I would like to a quick round of what your idea of a bad girl is.
From a woman's perspective, I don't know what you lot mean by because to me, women are women.
Yeah.
The woman that I would assume you would deem as bad girls, like if you really spoke to them, you probably would have a different perspective. So I'm assuming you're doing this from a.
It seems to be. I totally don't. I don't disagree at all. So just pause that for a second. It would be good to bring the guys in. Just to touch on. No. We need to pause that thought because clearly what is being said here is that there isn't any such thing. So Chris, yourself.
My idea of a bad girl is a girl who basically she loves sex at any cost. So when it's like at any cost, I'm talking about her moral compass is gone. So that's the biggest thing for me. It's the moral compass where she doesn't care what it is. She doesn't care whose feelings are involved. And this goes for both, but it's the fact that she could sleep with best friends, brothers, dads, uncles, family members, like that kind of girl. For me, it's not just about the sex thing; it's everything. But that obviously,
what is everything? Because
so
you mentioned
the moral thing. So she might not even be having. She could be talking to two guys that are close. You see what I mean? She's just playing the emotion. For her, it's the thrill. It's the whole. I'm going to do everything for the thrill to keep life fun for me. I don't want a boring life. I want to keep guys on their toes, just like what they do with girls. I want to do to guys what guys do to girls, especially for the last how many years. But I'm going to do it even worse. So it's just like with the whole saying of a good girl gone bad. Do you see what I mean? So once that good girl goes bad, and I've seen it throughout the years.
Okay.
Once that good girl goes bad, and it is true, she is kind of gone forever. Like, to me, I proper believe in that saying that, listen, she's gone to the game, leave her. You ain't gonna try and talk her out of it. You ain't gonna be like, you were such a beautiful girl growing up and you were such like a princess. She wants to do this thing. Don't be no saber hole. Don't put your captain cape on. That girl's gone. She wants to go do the thing. Yeah, this is what you don't want. No, I want to hear that. She wants.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's a good breakdown. So Dale.
That's a good one.
Well, I think I'll use less words than Chris used.
Don't hold back.
I think to me, if we're being raw and uncut, a bad girl to me is a girl who is morally corrupt and irrepressible.
I said morally corrupt. I feel like it's a takeover here. Okay, so a bit of a breakdown.
When I mean morally corrupt, I mean she encompasses everything that you don't want in a woman. That's a bad girl to me. And I think at that point, I'm saying that there is no coming back for you. So you're done, dead, dusty out here. No one really cares. And I think to me, at that point, if I'm looking at a bad girl, if I'm saying to you, I think you're a bad girl, then I feel that yes, there is no hope for you. And to me, at that point, you become less of something that I respect. And it's just a case of I entertain you, but I don't respect you in any way whatsoever.
And even then, that entertainment.
And even then, as Chris was saying, even then, that entertainment is more for my own. So just a pastime, really. I don't really care about you. And I think that's my definition of a bad girl. And I think if you want to be real, that is it.
You don't even have to add that you want to be real. It's a conversation. So I think, going back to Sarah, what you said earlier. So what do you think about what the...
My problem is this. You can be a hoe for sleeping with one man, two men. If someone knows that you slept with maybe three men in your life, you can be labelled a hoe. Then all of a sudden, what you're not saying is not desirable. Oh, no, hold on. But if a woman that has slept with 10 men behind the scenes, no one don't know who she's done it, but she's done it. You would see her as someone that is a good girl, even though her mileage, inverted commas, because I don't believe either, is higher than the person you don't have just deemed a hoe.
No,
Just as
I was about to say that's not really. What you're talking about guys that are aware. Do you understand with what you're saying?
So just before doing that, because I guess the point that is very relevant at this point here is that when you meet a woman, when you meet a girl or a woman, how would you know that girl is a bad girl?
This is that's what I was going on to say. So in what you were saying with the comparison, I get that and I agree with that, and I feel like that's the mistakes a lot of men make. They find out a lot later, usually after they've done stuff like put a baby in her and all of that, and this is what creates a lot of the drama in relationships because obviously when you meet someone, it's almost like an interview. You put obviously your best foot forward in it, so you don't come out. Obviously, you're not going to come out with everything in your skeleton, like the skeletons in your closet, saying, "This is me." I do, not a lot of people do.
What I'm trying to say here is because I feel like in real life, it's really hard to know if any girl is bad girl or a good girl, right? So I'll go back to the same question.
What is a bad
And
girl?
now, when you see a woman, how can you class a woman as a bad girl from some of the explanation that you guys, the description gone there, sorry, that you given?
Just following from Sarah's point, I think when I say a woman who is morally corrupt and irrepressible, I think we need to be careful. I think the sexual aspect is one part of it. It doesn't encompass everything. I think when you speak to someone, you hear their views on life, how they see things, how they will judge certain situations. It shows a lot about their moral compass. And I think that's when you say, wow, you're all beyond, there is a threshold, quote unquote, that, you would expect people not to cross. There is a line. When you meet someone who doesn't mind crossing that line at will and will cross it when and if they have to, either whether it's necessary or not. Sometimes life necessitates that we cross certain lines to get certain points across. But when you meet someone that will willingly cross that line for their own personal gratification, just to prove a point or to spite or to hurt someone, that's when you get to where someone is morally, corrupt and irrepressible. So I think you need to look at the whole picture. Yes, I don't agree with you, Sarah. The sex aspect is one thing. I think that part people can always get wrong. But when you speak to someone, you get to know them and you see the way they think and the way they actually put things together.
But what are you saying? That they are saying that you identifies them as the bad person?
So is the action and also is the words, isn't it? If I'm to tell you that, what, I will stab anyone in the back, even my best friend and my brother. That will show you that my moral compass is really.
But most people don't say that. That's my thing.
No, but they do it though.
Okay, but how long does it take for you to find this out?
So it's history, isn't it?
So my thing, maybe I'm a bit.
No.
I just would like to know: is this a case whereby we're talking about a case like someone you're meeting on the road?
Yeah.
How would it get to the next stage, or are we talking about someone in a relationship?
No. Even just meeting someone. So that was what both of you said. So when you initially meet, let's say 2 girls now, especially you pick them both from the road, you wouldn't know. You see, the whole bad girl, how would you deem it? So one girl could be openly, she slept with, let's say, 20 guys, and the whole area knows she slept with 20 guys. They'll be like, oh, she's a hoe. Do you get what I'm saying? And there's another girl who's, and they know about it, but there's another girl who's done it quietly, but she's done 50 guys. Do you see what I mean? But they might be like, oh, she's all right, I don't know nothing about her because she's done it in North London, for example, or another area. So you just think, cool. But what it is once you start, let's say if you spoke to both those girls now, you met both those girls. Once you actually hold a conversation, and this is where a lot of guys go wrong, they are looking from, let's say the imagery, obviously how they look. So if one looks presented herself as a classy girl, they get fooled by imagery, especially I can't say this for every man, but obviously there's a lot of men that are fickle like that. So imagery, how she talks, how she carries herself. But the thing is, what guys can't and what people don't understand is a hoe or a bad girl can still do the same things, especially image-wise, than a good girl can do. She can dress up nice and good, talk nice and good. There's bad girls in every form of society. So it's not just a girl who's on the street just moving reckless. Do you understand? But what it is when a smart guy, that's what I was saying, a guy who's aware. If a guy who's aware, who talks to, not just women, just talks to people, so you can pick up vibes from anyone, just another human being, just knowing if the person is genuine and how they are, their aspirations. If you talk to a girl, I'll tell you this now. I don't know no girl, because girls, they tend to open up more than men do. Do you understand? They will start letting off information, whether it's subtly or openly. They will let off that information that if you're paying attention, you'll know this girl's a bad girl. This girl lives a certain lifestyle that I find bad. And when I say bad, it might not be bad for someone else, but it's bad for me. Do you understand? And that's what Dio was saying. So to some man might like that. They might like, let's say now, a party girl that's wild and she's doing lineups and she's doing threesomes and that. And they'd be like, look, I could still wife her, kiss her in the mouth and take her home to mummy. There's some man that's like that. And they would, no, and I'm being real, that's how some men are. And there's some man that will be like, mate, she just done the lineup with me in my bedroom. And that's not happening. She's a bad girl to me. And so that's why I said it's each to their own. But what it is once you start speaking to them, you start speaking to them about life and be like, okay, so what's your attitude towards, let's say, men to the opposite sex? What's your attitudes towards that? So they'll start letting off information, like where it's like, I've been through certain things in the past where I look at men like this, so I'm numb to certain things. I'm numb to emotion. I'm numb to compassion. I'm numb to love because I've tried to love and I can't, like, do you see what I mean? I haven't reached anywhere with it. So now I'm on this bad girl thing. They're not going to come out right and say it. So they'll say it subtly, and that's all it is. It's about being aware. Like, there'll be girls, they say the most. Like, they will talk about, if you really talk to them, they'll start saying their whole thing. But what it is just that, because girls, they're not looking at it as like, when they're saying it like, oh, good girls, bad girls. They're just saying it as, I'm just doing me. And that's all well and good. You've got every right, especially in 2019. You're allowed to be what you want to be. But my thing when I say that is, when it comes to be, especially with women, if you're going to do what you're going to do, this is society. You're going to get labelled with certain things, just like men do. You understand? So my thing is, if you are moving as a girl with loose morals, do it with your chest.
So I guess, really, we're saying bad girls, good girls, but really what we mean is wholesome good girls. Right?
That's what it sounds like to me.
Wait.
Because for instance, okay, let me give you my perception of what a bad man is and what a good guy is.
Yeah.
A bad guy is somebody, to me, he's on the roads, innit? Right? He thinks he's going to be a millionaire on the roads, so he doesn't change that pattern. He doesn't have no respect. He talks misogynistic. Like, he acts like as if he's doing you a favour, dating him. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's got nothing to offer. However, his confidence and the fact that he might be a bit attractive, he's not even the biggest drug dealer of the world.
This sounds personal.
You basically trade off of clout. That's what you trade off of, isn't it?
You
trade off of clout. That's what you've got to offer. You've got a name and you've got reputation. Yeah. That is it.
So what's a good guy then?
But my perception of a good guy is somebody that goes to work, has some direction. Doesn't matter what job you're working, doesn't matter how much you're making, but you believe that in order for you to succeed, you have to work through the system, innit? And they understand that. They're respectful, they listen to you, they're understanding. Like, you know, somebody that you can actually have a conversation with. And it's not something that they then say, oh, that's just how you feel. Do you know what I mean? They can kind of like sympathise or relate or whatever.
So,
yes.
That sounds like a dream man versus...
It's not necessarily a dream man because at the end of the day, you don't all go to work, right?
Why does he have to be a
No,
dream
I
man?
get that.
You don't all go to
work. Do you know what? In saying that, I get what you're saying with the whole... So what you did is, you see how you just said, it sounds like we're talking about hoes instead of bad girls. You sound like you named a road man instead of a bad boy. Do you see what I'm saying?
But to me, that's what a bad boy is.
Do you know what
I mean?
Which is what comes up to what we're saying.
That's what we're trying to...
But I didn't have a problem with you're not saying, but your problem is you're not saying bad girl. But then if you was, for instance, to line up all the people that you thought were bad girls, if you was to have a conversation with them,
be nice
I feel
girls.
like you, and not even that they would be nice girls, but I feel like your perception wouldn't be that they're a bad person. You know what I mean? But to me, it sounds like your lot's level of badness is dependent on how much people that she slept with.
No. It's
John,
far from that. Mine's the opposite person.
Just to answer Coach's question of what a good guy is, I think my definition of a good guy would be almost the opposite of what my definition of a bad girl is, in terms of a male perspective. So to me, regardless of whether you're on the road or you've got a white collar job or not, you can still be a good guy. You know?
That's what I'm trying to say.
I think what it comes to me about being good, and I think that's why I always go back to the moral aspect of things. It's about how do you hold yourself morally. So, for example, you could have people that, you could have guys that have a good job and everything, they're doing well in life, they're doing charity, but if they're stepping out on their partner, on their wife, that doesn't make them a good guy. So I think to me, what makes you good or bad, male or female, comes back to whether you're morally upright or not, and how you actually sort of carry yourself.
I think. Okay,
that's
go on.
key to me.
So are you saying if you step out on your wife, you're not a good person? Is that what you're saying?
No, yeah, because it has to be part of the moral compass.
That's crazy.
So the point that you're talking about moral aspect, and you're talking about a good guy, whether it's a drug dealer or not, or white collar, doesn't matter. But the whole idea of a drug dealer, morally, what he's doing is not right. So I don't understand. Wait. I don't understand how you could class someone as a good guy and then use the same word as morally in the same sentence when the person is a drug dealer. That's one thing. Another thing that I just wanted to talk about when we're talking about, because we talk about women as if they're objects, right? In the sense that, this woman, she's a whore because she slept with so many different people, right? And the aspect that we don't think about is some people might have all sorts of mental conditions, how they were brought up as to why they behave the same way. We're not talking about changing this conversation because that woman that you've met now might have gone through that, but she's learned from that. It doesn't necessarily mean that's what that woman is now. So when you're talking about certain conversations, bringing out forth of the traits that this person, the characteristics of this person, that might not necessarily transpire because that person is not that person that they were before. So they're not going to be talking to you in the sense of, if I had a chance to sleep with your friend, I would do it, because they might have done that and they know that is morally wrong and they've learned from that. So at that time that they're having that conversation, they know what type of person that they want in their life because of experiences that they've had, right? And also, just another thing I want to touch on this, because it's almost like I feel that it's unfair for guys to always label women or girls as hoes, in the sense that for guys that sleep around with a lot of girls, it's almost seen as some sort of conquest of your manhood. Guys have these conversations and people gravitate to it to be like, it's such a good thing. And I feel like if we're going to have that type of conversation about women and women sleeping around, but we have to give that parallel conversation as well, in the sense that if this is wrong in this side and morally is wrong in regards to what you're doing, then morally on the other side, that's what it should be wrong, because morals is morals. Morals has got nothing to do with sex.
Okay, so I'm going to answer your question, but I feel like you guys are just skipping what I'm trying to say. Okay, we're human beings. We can backslide. Things can happen. We can always cheat, stuff and work. What I said was quite clear. Morally irrepressible. Do you know what that means? It means that there is no going back for you. So people.
What do you mean there's no going back?
So when for me to class you as a bad girl or a bad guy, it means that this is the reason why you cannot class someone as a good or a bad person until you've gotten to know them.
No, but we're not talking about bad person, though. He's given a different definition.
You guys you're shifting the posting.
The good girl versus the bad girl narrative. We're not talking about something.
You're shifting it. You're shifting the conversation.
25 million, should they be?
You're shifting the conversation. This is why when I said opposites attract, and we kind of just drilled it down around the whole concept and stereotype around the good girl and the bad girl.
So fine, thank you. So I think I have a bit more clarity on the premise now. If that's what we're talking about, then the vision of a good girl and a bad girl will always come down to how you carry yourself. So sex for girls.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what we're trying to get to, mate.
And guys, it will be about sex and how you carry yourself. Your
no, but I don't think, guys, we could say sex, because I don't think generally everyone agrees.
Some girls will say, some girls, not. Wait. So,
not
but some girls will say that they're not really attracted to a guy that's slept with like 100 girls. And I think just in terms of Coach's question, in terms of the good girls, bad girls, obviously an opposite attract stuff. from my point of view, and this is my point of view, I personally, if we're looking at the definition of what we class as, now that we've clarified what a bad girl is, or what we think bad girls are, from my point of view, I'm not personally attracted to bad girls, and I will say why. First of all, I'm not like a very, very like out there person, so I kind of feel like if I get with a bad girl, she'll bully me. Like, I feel like she'll be too much for me to sort of like
control.
Not control. That's not what we'll do. I think I will struggle with that because I think even just growing up, like if I look at just growing up in terms of the girls that I've dated and stuff like that, like even when I've had a girl that was like seemed to be like a bad girl in college, once telling me that, oh, I fancy you, I was nervous because I was like, you know what, the reputation and everything, it puts me off in terms of I get worried to say, well, am I able to sort of like match up with her?
It's handling
because to me, and again, I think it comes down to your personality too. Like, I'm not an argumentative person. Once the bad girl starts going on and acting like a bad girl, I just get a little bit like, you know what, I'm good.
Do you know what? I get exactly what you're saying because I used to be like that, especially at that time. I actually realized I was like, hold on, what's that? This is me getting older, and I started getting used to different girls from different walks of life. So like what you said, like when I was younger, I kind of did have a certain type of girl. Like I knew I liked a nice, humble girl, and you know what I mean. You knew what kind of, especially coming from like a certain background, I just knew the kind of girl that I liked, like more traditional basically. As I got older, I started experiencing different, like meeting new people from different walks of life, meeting new girls. So naturally, when I was more nervous getting into the game in that sense, like, and when I say like bad girl, I'm not talking like I'm talking bad girls. You see what I mean? Where you like, that's kind of intimidating. I'm not used to that because I'm used to being able to control the situation. But these girls are so experienced that because you got to remember, especially at a younger age, the girls have dealt with guys older than me. Do you get what I mean? They're dealing with guys a lot older than me.
Is this with that whole like sexual type of like?
No, just experiencing that talking. So the way they carry them, they're confident. They come at you like, yo, like they're moving to you, and they're basically like raw, like they're like raw. What are you saying? And you're thinking, I'm used to doing that to certain girls, and they're doing it to me. But I can tell this girl, it's almost like she's coming across like she'll eat you alive kind of thing. And it's like...
But then I think that's slightly different because it's almost like, I feel like as a man, when a girl actually, forget the girl being bad or good, when a girl actually comes to you, as in they like you, because I'm not used to that feeling.
So you like
because I've always been the person that will go and approach the girl. So when a girl does that, it kind of puts me... No, it's not that I do appreciate it, but then it kind of puts me in that position of, oh, like, what's going on here? I don't know how to act because I'm not used to it. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad girl. It just means a girl approaching you. You get what I mean? Hence the reason why I feel like that's not necessarily part of the conversation.
You're turning... I'm not talking about that. And again, you're talking about, let's say, a girl like...
But what do you mean by they put it on you though? Like, what they come to you to
say? So basically, you don't like confident women.
No,
no. Let me tell you something, yeah? If I see somebody that I like and I approach you and you crumble, that suggests to me that you're not ready for me.
No. You see how you just said that? Again, you're talking about you doing that now. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, alright, you could have done it back in 98 too. I'm just talking about... Obviously, there's experience and learning curves. You see what I mean? So obviously, I'm just leading on to what he was saying. That initially, I was like, all right, this is a bit too much. But as I started meeting certain girls, I had to adapt that. Okay, I can't meet. Do you get what I'm saying? I can't because I'm meeting too many. And do you know what it was? To be honest, the girls were too sexy. Like I was like, wow, am I really gonna pass up this? This girl's hella sexy. I need to start adapting, sink or swim. I need to get with it. So obviously I adapted.
Okay, I definitely get that there's a shift, like especially like nowadays where women are a bit more, they've taken ownership of their sexuality and they've gone out to get what they want. And it's simply because men are disappointments. I'm sorry. Like,
I love that though.
No, it's true. It's like when a woman sits in the mirror or spends an hour getting ready to go to a club, you think she's doing that for her friends?
I'm glad you said
Is
this.
Is she doing that for her friends? She's not doing that for her friends.
No.
Yeah, no. Don't get me wrong. wrong. Dressing up and feeling sexy is
That's
definitely
one thing,
empowering.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But you can dress up, be sexy, take some pictures in your yard and go to bed in it. The fact that you've gone to a rave, you want people to see that, whatever. The problem is that you get to the rave, okay, there's a woman that you don't claim is not your type of woman because she's half dressed, etc. But you're all on it. Yeah? You're like all doing your thing. Oh yeah, trying to get a dance. Regardless of whatever your intentions are with that, if I'm a person in the club and I've seen that that's what's happened, then you're gonna think, okay, so clearly being a hoe is not bad, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I get you.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. They're winning.
There's people out here openly wifeying people that people consider as hoes or gladly. So for you to then say, oh well, you know, I don't really go for them, girl. The statistics suggest otherwise.
Do you know why though? Why though? But I think.
Sorry, there, go on.
So, I think while Sarah was just talking, I was thinking of something, and I think I was looking at it again. I'm going to go a little bit old school on this. I'm looking at it from like, when you say the word bad boys and bad girls, I remember growing up, and when my mom or our parents said, oh, this person's a bad boy. Well, what the class as bad boy was like, you know, for example, if they say, for example, a boy that wasn't interested in education or wasn't doing what he was supposed to be doing, stuff like that. So if I'm looking at it from my point of view, that, you know, what I say a bad girl is, or what I'm considered to be like a bad girl, it's not necessarily, I know we talked about the whole sexual aspect of it, yes, but also it's like, is she acting in a way that I feel is the norm of what a girl, a good girl, the kind of girl that can say, you know what, rah, you know, I'm ready, you know, I can take you home to family, to friends, and, you know, I will not be ashamed of you.
So are you saying with that, you know your family setup and you know what your family thinks would be a good girl? So are you saying that, are you saying that with that, then you're kind of pandering to that, to make sure that you bring in someone that will fit into that?
If I'm being blunt and being honest here, which is not something I do all the time, to an extent, yes.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I'm just asking the question.
To an extent, because no offense, I'm going to take a girl home that will tell my mom, shut up.
Yeah, obviously.
Like, I'm sorry.
It doesn't run like that. There has to be boundaries.
That's what boundaries to. So I'm looking at to say, you know what? If I'm meeting a girl that is very, very, you know, outgoing, no, so not outgoing, but is very like party animal, she's very outspoken. I don't have anything to say to that, but, you know, to me, you have to be able to like pat it to an extent. Like, you know what?
Let's put it as, I definitely agree with what you're saying, because I've seen it I've got female friends that they show me all about, you know, the female perspective in this whole thing of bag and that and I feel for women when I see it, like I see, and I'm like, it's true, it's messed up that women can get called hoes for sleeping with even just that, let's say, 6 men.
Girls get hoes for dressing inappropriately.
That's what I'm saying. And
not even having to sleep with anyone.
Yeah, no, it isn't fair, and it's true. Even I started seeing it after a certain age. Like, it looks at, imagine the imagery, what the young girls, the impressionable girls are seeing. All they're seeing is the people that are winning are the girls that are bad girls. Like, in society, is to them, that's getting, what's getting promoted is, who are the men chasing? Who are the men going down on one knee and giving rings to? Who are the men spending their money on? Who are the men showing attention to? Who are the men actually having their hearts broken for? This ain't the good girls. I ain't seen none of these men do all this for and this is me saying this as a man. I haven't seen them do this I haven't seen man break their back for a good girl. But the thing is, that I agree with you in all of that sense. But what I'm trying to say, and this is just me now as a man, especially as a black man, trying to obviously help my community and help the women. I get that, but I don't want the women to think, okay, hoes are winning, so this is what we need to lean
I just
to.
feel like you don't underestimate who we consider hoes. We don't
No,
go around calling a lot of girls hoes.
No, but girls don't tend to call other girls generally like that. You want to be like, oh, this one's a hoe and this one's wifey. Obviously, you're not looking at it like that. You look at it as this one is winning and this one. Do you get what I'm saying? You're just looking at it as more. It's just women who are doing well for themselves and who aren't doing well for themselves.
Just coming back to the whole conversation, I think when men are having conversations about women, we always have to understand the power that men have had for such a long time. I think we could never talk about this situation about bad girl, good girl, without really understanding the power dynamics of this world that we live in. And in saying that, some of the points I've made already, it kind of really shows that when we're talking about behavior, we're talking about ethics and we're talking about characteristics. I personally feel a man and a woman that have the same characteristics, even though the woman will be labeled a hoe, the man is not going to be labeled a hoe, and it's because of how this world has been set up. It's always been set up to benefit the man. The man gets away, it's like we could have our cake and eat it. So when we're coming to a point now where women have a bit more liberty in regards to having more ownership, a woman being able to approach a man and say to a man, look, this is what time it is. Some of the stuff that, as in some of our reaction to it, first of all, the only reason why a man might react a certain way because they're not used to it. They're not used to it because men have been in that position of being the chasers all the time. But we're saying now that this is not where we are. Things are changing. I think the way society is set up is very skewed, and it's a very male-dominated world. And just putting that aside as well, I think when you come into the black community, how we refer to our women, is very negative. Growing up in Ghana, this whole idea of a girl being a hoe, it's not the same. Women are not treated in the same way that they are treated here. I feel like, yes, in regards to the tradition, women most probably will be more oppressed in Ghana than in here. But in regards to the tradition, in regards to how men actually treat women, I don't see it in that way. And I think for myself, it's because growing up, like for instance, the person that were fighting the British for regarding slavery was a woman. It was the woman that actually got them guys together. Her name was Yasantua, to say to the guys like, why are you guys here? And they're coming to take our lands. So for me, growing up at a very young age, being told those stories, seeing a woman, I never saw a woman in any negative way, or a woman not being able to be empowered or anything like that. So it was more coming into the Western world and understanding, as I keep on saying, you get heavily influenced by a lot of things that goes on within our communities. And I guess a lot of things that goes on within our communities is coming from slavery, and us not really being able to sit down to deal with some of these conversations that needs to be had about slavery, and it's kind of absorbing to us, and it's kind of shaped our ideology of what the woman needs to be. I feel like women in general being called hoes or Jezebels and all that type of stuff is not necessarily right, because even when you look at that whole conversation and the ideology is heavily driven by a male-dominant world. I feel like black men, and most black men in general, likes to have their cake and eat it. I feel like on one point you want to behave in the same way that this woman behaves, but then when that woman does that, it's bad, but for you it's all right, and you want to go around doing that. And I feel like it comes to a point where we need to have those type of conversations. I don't feel like it's generally all right for ideology just to be shaped around how long ago we felt like things need to be done, because I don't feel like this is the case now. So I just feel like the whole conversation around women and even classifying women as hoes, it should be taken away, because most men are going to be with so-called hoes, because it doesn't necessarily matter in the real world, because it happens in real life anyway.
So just on what Kojo said, we're looking at this good girls, bad girls sort of scenario. I was sort of drawn, first of all, a bit on my background. So I was raised by very strong women. I'm kind of my grandmother, my mom, my auntie. They were like the leading figures in the household. You know, my dad died when I was young, so it was up to my mom. So what I see as what a good girl should be was what I saw from what my grandmother, my mom, and the way they carried themselves in society, how they acted, how they were quite strong. And I think this whole idea of, the term of, in terms of the liberation that women have in Western society, I didn't really know until I came around like 2002, time when I moved to the UK. So seeing that was a bit of a shock to me in how women carry themselves. But also, if you look at 2002 to even now, we have gone through different stages of our women have liberated themselves away from being held by the shackles of society that men have actually put in place for them. And I think, to me, what I try to do is I try to balance my idea of what a good woman should be, but also manage that in relation to what my realization of what modern society of what a woman is, which is what Kojo was saying. So I think it's a very fine line, and I think, yes, some of my preferences are sort of in line with what my family would see to be a good girl, but at the same time, I am moving away from those to say, actually, this might be what you want. So, for example, I did it, my mom would want me to to date a girl that goes to church. But I don't go to church, so I don't really expect whoever I'm dating to go to church. So I think it's not realistic for me to actually do that. So you need to be able to sort of align your preferences to what you see in terms of what a good girl and what a good girl would be. And I think in terms of what a bad girl, my definition of a bad girl, yes, to an extent, Sarah's absolutely right. It is defined to an extent largely by the amount of partners that girl has been with. Because again, for most men, the ego comes into play, isn't it? It's about, well, do I want to be with, for example, most men will sexualize Cardi B and everything. But again, how many of you want to wife you and say, you want to take her? Because again, she is that raw sexualization of what a woman that's liberated should be to some women, not all women, to some women. But again, the question is, to most guys, they will say, yeah, Cardi B is nice, but they wouldn't say she's a good girl.
Would they take them home to the mom? That would be
so I think that's the thing. So, absolutely. And again, that is what Chris went to about those girls are winning, and I think not all girls should be doing that. So again, I think just to summarize, I'm sort of going off point. Just to summarize, I think my idea of what a good girl, would be is partly based on what I was taught when I was growing up in terms of what a good girl should be, and in terms of my current situation in terms of what society thinks to what a good girl to be, and what a bad girl would be almost, someone that I feel in my position has had quite a number of sexual partners. Okay. And again, not to any fault of her own, just because of that's what she likes. But again, my male ego comes into play, and I think that perception of what if I take that girl on my arm and go and walk on road, and everyone's like, "Rah, he's a wife in her." That does come into play, and I think in order for me to be happy with that girl, if that's what I choose, I need to learn how to get over that.
That's what I was
wear that as an armor. If I cannot do that, then that was stuff about a bad girl or dating a bad girl.
Okay.
So my final thoughts with the whole bad girls, good girls thing is, to be honest, like even with this conversation, I have learned some things, especially in the sense of my approach in attitudes towards bad girls, what I deemed as bad girls. Do you understand? A bit more open-minded. That's why I even asked that question at the end of, could you wife her? Because I know a lot of things are self-inflicted. You understand that? With just me being trying to be mature, more mature than what I've been in the last few years of, I might call this girl bad girl, but in the bigger picture, is she really a bad girl? Do you see what I mean? And obviously, just like speaking to Sarah, it's just, like literally, it's because I know I'm fully aware that these are society's constraints on me. Do you understand? The socialization as where I've come to this conclusion where this girl is a bad girl. And even so, why does it matter if I feel that she's the one for me? Do you understand? So it's like, if I feel like, I like this girl, like me, I will fully not wife a girl, even if I have feelings for her and I feel like she might be a hoe. And I feel that's ridiculous. You get what I'm saying? I'm aware that it's ridiculous, but because of how I'm brought up, I will refuse to wife a girl that I know she's had a certain past. But I could genuinely like her. Like, I could hold a conversation, everything could be perfect. But if I know, like, hey, you've got that past, I'm not going to go there. And I know that's immature, do you see what I mean? And this is why these conversations need to be had. It's one of them things where it's true. In places like back home in Africa, there is a very thin line between that whole bad girl, good girl. It's more women are women, and women are meant to be looked at in a certain type of way. It don't matter how many men she slept with, that's her business. Do you understand that? That's got nothing to do with, it won't diminish her as a woman. That's what I've seen back home. Do you understand? It's more, obviously, unless she's a prostitute or something. That's what I've personally seen. Compared to here anyway. I can only
you
compare.
don't dig into the backgrounds of
like it doesn't, no one would be like, she, you know what I mean? Like here, if a girl's walking street, people are talking her business on road kind of thing, like, she's a hoe. There is that, from what I've seen, is you wouldn't even know, like, is it that deep? Do you get what I'm saying? She will still get married. And she will get married to a rich man. Do you see what I'm saying? Whereas here, guys are thinking, them bad girls or them quote-unquote hoes will not getting picked. You know what I mean? They get segregated. But that's just my thoughts on that. I feel like, most men do need to look at themselves, especially when it comes to the whole, their views on bad girls and the whole good girl thing. And a lot of people, and not all men, but a lot of men do need to stop being hypocritical, myself included, because I know I have been hypocritical. There's been times where I did have that viewpoint of men can get away with doing what they want and women can't. Yeah, I did have that view, and this is what I'm saying. I know I've moved on even from now, from that kind of viewpoint where 2009, you can't. That's what I'm saying. I can't be approaching a woman and saying that I've slept with so and so partners and she could have the equal amount of numbers and I call her a hoe, and do you get what I mean? Or I demean her for doing the exact same. That's not right on a human level. So that's what it is. I feel like everyone should be more mature when it comes to this good girl, bad girl thing. But yeah, that's me.
I just would like to say that there's no good girl, bad girl thing. I think that's a socially constructed idea in terms of basically trying to get a woman to act the way you want her to act. I feel like in recent times, a lot of women have taken back their own power, and that's why they are coming up to you and approaching you. They're not afraid of saying what they want, and they're not afraid to leave if you're not acting right. I know that's probably seen as, not womanly in society, but when for so long, like whether you are good, whether you stay home, you're not getting picked, innit? So if some men are saying that the standard of a woman is someone that doesn't go out all the time, etc., and that person is not necessarily socially attractive, they will never be the person that they pick. So as much as anyone says to them...
to meet that standard, you're still,
as much as you say, you can stay at home and do this, do that, you become a good girl and then you'll get picked up by a nice husband that's going to... It's unrealistic. And I just feel like women are coming out of this idea of a fairy tale relationship in terms of this man is going to come and rescue you and whip you off your feet, provide for you, you're going to have this family and live happily ever after. It's not realistic anymore, do you know? Like, women number men 2 to 1. So, do you know, options are very full for the men of this world. You know, so it's a case whereby it gets to a point where women feel like they have to compete with other women. And then that in itself will create a divide amongst other women. Whereas if everybody, I just feel like everyone needs to live their life. Everybody, discussions like this helps to change the narrative of what you expect of a woman. And also, it also helps, some men expect from women, from some women, for what they expect from some women. And, I just feel like this whole notion of there's a bad girl and a good girl is nonsense. And once everybody starts to accept people for who they are, you will find that a lot of the ideas that you have of what makes somebody a better person or not a better person will actually diminish, because you'll find that somebody that might be promiscuous could be the best person for you. Do you know what I mean? You could be lacking creativity, lacking motivation, and you get a good girl. And what she does is she encourages you to do what you're doing, nothing. But then you can get a goal-getter, somebody that's out there thinking, you know what, we want to be rich, this is what you need to do, go and do this and go and do that. And to be fair, you're not going to find that from somebody that's going to be sitting at home waiting for somebody to whisk them off their feet. Do you know what I mean? A lot of women want to actually be actively, play an active role in what happens in their household, like teaching the children, like going to make their money, business owners, etc., etc. So I feel like with that change, it threatens what a man deems to be, what some men deem to be manly traits, and so we decide to try and cut them down to make them feel like they're not on your level. They'll never be on my level. Like, you could be making this figure money, but you're still a hoe. Do you know what I mean?
I know.
Men do that. Do you know what I mean? Men do that. Like, you can change your whole life, but once they feel threatened, it's like they now have to attack something to bring you back down, to make you feel like you're not above them. When on paper you actually are, kind of thing. So yeah, so my thing is like, let go of this whole bad girl, good girl thing, yeah? Because if you get the right good girl, she will be a bad girl for you, just to let you know.
I get what you're saying.
Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
So I just feel like they're all titles and we just need to get rid of them.
Confirm.
Okay.
The good girls.
So
Looking for a bad girl.
Confirm.
that's another episode of LDM Perspective Podcast, and thanks for listening. We want to create more of an organic platform, so if you have any questions, please send them to ldmperspective@gmail.com. You can also reach us on our Instagram page, which is LDM Perspective, and please follow us on Twitter at Perspective LDM. See you next time. Thanks for listening.
Perspectives, different views, one voice.